Let us start over again. I hope I'm audible now. Good evening to all. Today we are starting with our sixth webinar in this beautiful evening. And our speaker today is Dr. Prasad Vihavre from Maharashtra. He has a long career in homeopathy. He is a PhD guide for Maharashtra University of Health Sciences and has a great career in homeopathic teachings. He has recently visited to Dubai also for UAE for teaching people, and it was a great success for UAE people. Today I'm happy to invite him for his lecture, and his topic would be Gems from Hahnemann's Organon of Medicine, a study of selected aphorisms and footnotes from Organon of Medicine. And our respected Dr. Upinder Singh Chandok, PS Chandok, who is a very senior veteran homeopath and he is a national advisor of IAHP, and he has a long career. He was the pioneer who introduced homeopathy into the sports medicine. He has been serving in the Punjab health services for a very long period and has retired at a very lucrative position. So he'd be chairman of the session. So he'll be a moderator also. So I welcome you all and other the important person of IESP. So I will invite Dr. Prasad Vihavre to start with his presentation. Dr. Prasad, please take over the mic.
Thank you, Dr. Mukhinder. I joined this beautiful webinar. At the outset, Dr. M.A. Rao sir for his kind gesture and is being always encouraging. At outset also, I would like to thank all the CEC members and office bearers. I would like to also our chairman for the session, Dr. Chandok sir. Thank you, Dr. Mukhinder Singh, chairman for IIP webinars. Would like to also thank Dr. Tanveer Hussain sir, who is the director of IHP National Homeopathic Mission. Like to also thank Kape, who is the Maharashtra state president. Again, all the life members of IHP. Fraternity. Hello.
Yes, please.
Yes, the topic which the important aphorisms and footnotes from Hahnemann's Organon. Look, it's not anything new in the undergraduate level, even postgrad. Going through all the aphorisms as the syllabus and curriculum, we have been seeing these aphorisms. Yes, we have seen, we have learned them, we have passed in our subjects of organ of medicine. Yes. applying these principles into our practice. Friends, we are also enjoying the fruits of learning the organon of medicine in our practice, in our day-to-day practice. Knowingly, unknowingly, we are prescribing our medicines, homeopathic principles. Yes, we are applying the law of similia, we are applying the law of simplex, we are applying the law of minimum, everything. But I thought there are certain things which are required to be brought under the brighter light, by which we can just improve our system of medicine. We can improve the techniques which is required to improvise our techniques of case taking. We can make certain cases into the complete case. So selected some of finer aphorisms. All aphorisms all written in the organon is yes, but for today's session, I cannot go on taking every aspect of organon for the whole day. So I have selected some of the very aspects of our organ of medicine, and I'm presenting those aphorisms and footnotes. They are clinically very important. And with the use of those aphorisms, definitely, my dear friends, we can improvise our techniques in our case taking. And if the case taking has been improvised, definitely our outcome, that is the result of the prescribed medicine, will increase. So let us find and let us collect those gems. These are indispensable from the book of Organon of Medicine. I start by bowing down in front of the statue of Hanuman. Yes, with the great respect, the whatever the master has given to us, we all are working on it, and all whatever we are working, it is because of our master. And again, I thank to IHP. We have a great of going and paying our tribute to the Hanuman Cemetery in 2017. So let us start the session for the today. This particular slide, friends, I have taken that why you on. While I was scrolling for some of the things for today, I come across this beautiful statement by none other than our beloved Kent. So what Kent is saying about the organon, I just come across what Kent is saying. Learn the mathematics. One must master Hanuman's organon. The simple repertory must be the constant reference book. If prescription is to be attained and maintained. Dr. Muktender Singh? I'm just getting some echoes of my own voice.
Hello.
Yeah, I was getting some echoes of my
Yes,
voice.
your voice is your PC's volume has to be decreased.
Okay.
Now you speak. It's not there. You speak now.
I will just roll on again. To learn the Mathemedica, one must master. To learn the Mathemedica, one must master Hanuman's organon, after which the symptomatology and full repertory must be constant reference books, not one day or 2 days. Constant reference book. If careful homeopathic prescribing is to be attained and maintained, this is what the three things, the trio, which the Kent has beautifully summarized, that why you should read Organon to learn Mathemedica, and when you learn the Mathemedica, you should constantly refer the repertory. Then and then only, my dear friends, you are able to proceed further and make the homeopathic prescribing, which is everybody, doctors his patient should be saved. Every doctor has this dream that I should be service, I should give the best results, I should do best of my possibilities to the patient. Yes, we all are having this same mission because the master says it's not duty. He used some different word, that is the mission. My dear friends, it was expected at the first aphorism that when Hanuman was introducing what is homeopathy, it was expected that Hanuman would have started with the principle of organon, principle of homeopathy, the similia similibus. He in first aphorism, I was expecting that Hanuman will be giving introduction of the homeopathy, but he has not given all that. He has given very outwardly that what a homeopath he is intended, what kind of homeopathy must be practiced, and the practitioner of homeopathy should take this particular work as a mission. So how he should be, first aphorism, how his work should be, second aphorism, how he should get this work done, for third aphorism. I repeat, how he should be the homeopathic prescriber or physician, that is the first aphorism. How his work should be, what is the of his work, of course, highest ideal of cure, that is second aphorism. And what tools, what things are required to get this 1 and 2 done, that is your third aphorism. So all this, if you can see beautifully, if you study organon very carefully, you will find a sequential series is there. It is not Hanuman has kept all these things in a haphazard way. There is a philosophy, there is definite a plan with which all these small flowers are woven into one thread. ये सबका एक माला बनाया है उन्होंने, जो स्कैटर्ड फ्लावर्स थे उनको, वो हमें समझना है. So let's go to the objectives, that what we expect today. Into a nutshell, I will just take you to the objectives. To study those aphorisms and footnotes which are clinically indispensable. Everything written in the organon is indispensable, but clinically, I have just chosen some of the aphorisms which will throw some light as per our clinical knowledge is concerned. Second, I could summarize this is that to study to make every case as a complete case. Sometimes we make mistakes. Sometimes we do the things which is not required. So let us see what master has given, that what you should keep in your mind when you're taking the case. Yes, we had to start the case with the plain paper and a plain mind, but definitely we have to have certain things in our mind, that what exactly you want in a case. हमें क्या चाहिए होगा केस में, so हमें prescription कर सकते हैं. This must be clear in our mind, that exactly what you want exactly from a case. You want is required so that finally you can arrive at the medicine. Okay. Third, I could go with it is how to resolve the practical obstacles. Yes, there are practical obstacles. There are obstacles. There are certain things which are difficult, and how to remove them. So, how Master Hanuman has given all these details. Master Hanuman has approached, how Hanuman has given some clues so that these obstacles can be removed in our homeopathic practice. That is also we are going to share. And this, with this object, I have went down into the organon and I have selected certain aphorisms and footnotes. Finally, my dear friends, how to evolve. If you don't evolve, so it's a stationary. You cannot progress. So Hanuman is also expecting that if Hanuman would have been happy with the first edition of Organon, there would have been no 6 editions. And if Hanuman would have lived longer, there would have been 7th edition also. So this word is very important, that is evolve. So how with respect to time we evolve. So how to evolve with what is in our hand and finding. So whatever things we have, whatever the data we have, whatever the organon, Metramedica repertory, this data is in our hand. with this data, with this technique, how we should proceed to feel and meet the challenges in future. We have a pandemic is going on. I don't know, in future days, you may come across so many challenges. So with this data, with the light of Hanuman, how we can take those challenges and come out successfully. So in the series, my dear friends, I've selected this footnote number 8. I've taken this particular footnote to let you come to this particular view that what Hanuman was thinking about the diseases. How the vital force produces diseases would be of no practical utility to the physician to know. Please pay attention. How vital force produces diseases would be of no practical utility to the physician to know and will forever remain concealed from him. How the things happens dynamically. This is something which will always keep away from us. Only what is necessary for him to know of disease is fully sufficient for enabling him to cure it. हमें पेशेंट को ठीक करने के लिए क्या चाहिए? We want symptoms. So the God has made it. The God has made it enable. He has not concealed the symptoms. God has enabled what is necessary to cure. What is necessary to cure is the symptoms, through which the vital force corresponds to us, through which the vital force establishes contact with us that what is wrong. Patient comes and complains, सब आज मुझे ठीक नहीं लग रहा है, आज मुझे खाने की इच्छा नहीं हो रही है, today I am not feeling energetic. So these are the things which are the messages. Symptoms are nothing but the messages. They carry some very important message that something is went wrong inside. To cure it has the Lord of life revealed to his senses. To his senses means the physician's senses, that the symptoms and signs are given to you and there is nothing else in the disease. So this particular footnote gives you the sight, the vision that how we should look at the diseases. As an allopath sees, definitely not. The allopath sees the disease as the disease organs, the sick organs. But in homeopath, when he sees the patient, we want the symptoms of the patient more than the symptoms of the disease. So this is the basic difference between how an allopath looks at the disease and how a homeopathic perspective is there towards the disease. This particular footnote 76, I have taken this particular, just a minute, to section 78 will goes like this. They remain unrecognized for years. These means all these chronic diseases, and you have to keep chronic case in front of you. They remain unrecognized for years. Those afflicted appear in perfect health to their relatives, and the diseases that was received by infection or inheritance seems to have wholly disappeared. So there are two enemies. One is the enemy which is outside and the one enemy is inside. So one is the infection and the other is inheritance. Seems to have wholly disappeared. After adverse events and conditions of life. Now friends, this is not in our hand. When the adverse events and conditions of life is there, they are sure to appear anew and develop the more rapidly and assume a more serious character in proportion as the vital principle has become disturbed by debilitating passions, worry, and care. These words are very important. That's why I have selected this particular footnote for today's session. That these words, debilitating passions. My dear, just want to share with you that Hahnemann's writings are always suggestive. He never used to give the typical, but he used to give suggestive things. Now, this debilitating passions, you can add n number of things. You can add many things. Debilitating passion. Debilitating means which makes you weak. Passions. Now we all are passionate, but there are certain passions which make you sick, isn't it? When man thinks in a wrong way, man acts in a wrong way, and when man acts in a wrong way, he becomes the prey for the disease. This is what we have learned from the Kent. So debilitating passions, worry and care. Yes, we worry and we care, but once the level exceeds, then it becomes pathological care and pathological worry. But especially when disordered by inappropriate medicinal treatment. That is the allopathic treatment. So these things which you have inherited or you have acquired will make a balance. Vital force will make the balance and will try to make the things acceptable in a way that it should be, the life should go on. But once these things happens, then the vital force surrenders and then you have the starting of the diseases. ये स्लाइड मैंने इसलिए लिया है कि you should know where are the seeds, है ना? Where are the seeds of the diseases? So there Hahnemann is giving some suggestions that where are the seeds. Let's go further. Dr. Muktender Singh, am I going okay? Just for a while, I am asking you.
Yes, you are connecting very well to the. You are explaining it very well. Please continue.
Thank you, Dr. Saab. Now let's move to the next slide, my dear friends. This is for the section 80 and the footnote is 77. See what Hahnemann is saying. I spent 12 years in investigating the source of this incredibly large number of chronic affections. If my session continues for the third hour, I know how much participants will come in. No? Let us accept this, that you cannot spend so many years, but for one object, एक चीज के लिए उन्होंने 12 साल मेहनत की है. I just pay my tribute to the Hahnemann, how he could have this perseverance. No, he was following one particular thing for 12 years. I spent 12 years. क्या किया इन्होंने 12 साल? In investigating source of this unbelievable large number of chronic affections. Why these chronic affections are there? Before I had obtained this knowledge, I could only teach how to treat the whole number of chronic diseases as isolated individual maladies. This is talking about the discovery of miasms. So what exactly change has occurred in homeopathic prescriptions before the discovery of miasms and after the discovery of miasm? It is not that before the discovery of miasm there was no prescriptions were carrying out. Yes, even before the miasms could discovered, Hahnemann was getting success. Homeopathy was also getting success, but only thing was the reappearance, and there the things have started. As we all know how Hahnemann conclude that there are certain things which are responsible for reoccurrences, then he name it as a miasm. Before I had obtained this knowledge, I could only teach how to treat the whole number of chronic diseases as isolated individual maladies, so that every case of chronic disease was treated by my disciples according to the group of symptoms it presented, just like an idiopathic disease. How much greater cause is there now for rejoicing that the desired goal has been so much more nearly attained, inasmuch as recently discovered and far more specific homeopathic remedies for chronic affection arising from Sora, he is enabled to render more essential service and most invariably to effect a perfect cure. Before the discovery of miasms, we could only treat without knowing the origin. But now you know that this case is a psoric, this is syphilitic or psychotic or whatever the origin. So this particular aphorism, the footnote rather, I have taken in a view of a miasm. Okay? Now, there are certain things which this particular footnote says, that how whatever things we have received out of inheritance, say for miasms we have received, so how it transform into chronic disease. This particular footnote is clinically very important. So what this particular footnote says, some of these causes that exercise a modifying influence on the transformation of psora into chronic disease. Just want to have your attention, my dear friends. Please pay attention. Transformation of psora into chronic diseases. So that means the precursor, the originator is the psora or miasms for that matter, and the end product is chronic diseases. But you required a link, you required an ignition, isn't it? You require a lighter, and which these causes are there, which transforms the development of particular psora into one of the chronic diseases. So friends, sorry, some of these causes that exercise a modifying influence on the transformation of psora into chronic diseases manifestly depend upon sometimes on the climate. Climate could also be the reason, and the peculiar physical character of the place where you reside, sometimes on the very great varieties in the physical and mental training of youth. My dear friends, just repeat the same, that it is physical and mental training of youth. How we brought up our kids, isn't it? That's why you can see I have given a small photograph here on the left hand side of your screen. There are two particular pictures I have taken, that the mental and physical training of youth, how our kids are being evolved over the period of time. So that particular training is neglected, delayed or carried to an excess, बहुत ज़्यादा. So that training, whatever you call by the name, but that training is neglected if that is delayed or carried to an excess or on their abuse in the business or conditions of life. We all being taught झूठ नहीं बोलने का in our childhood, but yes, sometimes we lie because we abuse those things which we learn in the when we were kids. So this is the problem. Abuse in the business or conditions of life in matter of diet and regimen, passions, manners, habits, and customs of various kinds. My dear friends, I just want to draw your attention again that Hahnemann has left nothing. He has talked about the diet, yes, most important, the regimen, your habits, the way your lifestyle. We have now LSDs also, lifestyle disorders. So your regimen, Hahnemann has wrote it 280 years back, that your regimen can also have some seeds of the chronic diseases. Passions, second time this particular words is coming, passions. Passions are increased emotions, heightened emotions. Your manners, the way you speak, the way you take the things. Habits, your habits can also be faulty. And customs of various kind, these there you can find some seeds that they can transform the psora into form of a chronic disease. So my dear friends, when you're taking the case, when the patient is narrating on this, don't shut his mouth, don't suppress his voice, let him talk. पहले सुनिए पेशेंट को क्या बोलना है. Patient is coming to talk to you. He may talk relevant, he may not talk relevant, but let us not suppress his talk. There is always some message in whatever he talks. My dear friends, this particular slide I have taken because this is clinically very important. This is, you will find in footnote 86. This footnote is coming for the aphorism 93. I'm taking these numbers from 6th edition. So you are advised to only the 6th edition. If you have the 5th and 6th combined, then there could be some confusion in you. So I strongly recommend to just get only the 6th edition. So there should not be any confusion over it. So let's move further. Any causes of disgraceful character in patient's life? Of course, there is certain things in certain life which a patient do not want to confess. He want to hide certain things because they are disagreeable. These are disgraceful. Getting fail in exam is not a graceful. I want to hide it. So patient may hide disgraceful character, which the patient or his friends do not like to confess. The physician must try to elicit by skillfully framing his questions. हो सकता है कि the way he thinks towards these failures, the way how he takes his life, how he takes his problems, isn't it? So there could be some problem in his life. Let us bring it on the fore. Let us bring it on the surface, isn't it? Better to ask what any anxieties, any fears he is having regarding this problem. आपको इसको लेके कोई चिंता लगती है, कुछ डर लगा रहता है, patient will take some time because he don't know what is miasm. He don't know what are the precursors of the SORA. He don't know what these things are required. A patient comes from an allopathic head. He has 2 bags of reports in his hands. एक में हमारा होता है, दूसरे में CT scan, pathological report, isn't it? आपके पास केस टेकिंग को आया है, उसको लगता है कि नहीं, I should come with all the details, isn't it? So with this materialistic stamp on his mind, yes, you have to slowly convert him कि ठीक है, but इसी क्या बात हो गई, या आपको इतना ये तकलीफ हो गया, उससे पहले कुछ हुआ था, कोई रीजन था, या आप इस चीज को कैसे देखते हैं? This question many times can bring out the real picture.
ये है आपकी छठी चीज। सातवीं चीज है आपके अंदर की palpitation।
Please continue, Dr. Vyavre. I'll look into it. Please continue.
Okay, thank you.
नहीं बता रहा कि सर में जो थोड़े चल
ये
रहे हैं।
चीजें कौन सी है? ये कौन सी चीजें है? देखो, skillfully framing questions. आप नाजुक चीजों में अंदर जा रहे हो, ये किसी की दुबती नस हो सकती है, तो हमने डॉक्टर साहब ने यहाँ पे एक वर्ड दिया है, स्किलफुली। नहीं होता है, बाद में करेंगे, कोई ज़रूरी नहीं है एक ही विजिट में पेशेंट को सब निकाल लेंगे अपन, ठीक है, हम रुक सकते हैं, क्रॉनिक है रुक सकता है पेशेंट, स्किन का है तो अपन उसको 2 दिन बाद, पेशेंट को भी थोड़ा सा रैपो बन जाता है, हमारा बच्चा है तो थोड़ा रैपो बन जाता है, पेशेंट्स है तो थोड़ा रैपो बन जाता है, बाद में बात करेंगे, लेकिन हमारा क्वेश्चन होना चाहिए स्किलफुली। आई स्टिल वंडर कि डॉक्टर हनीमन साहब ने कैसे वर्ड्स किए हैं स्किलफुली। यहाँ वर्ड उन्होंने डाला है स्किलफुली फ्रेमिंग हिज क्वेश्चंस। आपके क्वेश्चन ही गलत है, आपके क्वेश्चनर ही गलत है, तो एंड रिजल्ट कैसे सही होगा? क्वेश्चन गलत है तो आंसर्स गलत आएंगे, आंसर आएंगे तो डेटा रॉन्ग फीड होगा, डेटा रॉन्ग फीड होगा तो सही दवा कैसे निकलेगी और गलत दवा से पेशेंट ठीक कैसे होगा? तो एक के ऊपर एक ये सीक्वल लगा हुआ है, थोड़ा सा ध्यान अगर हम देंगे, बहुत ज़्यादा करने की ज़रूरत नहीं है, इन्हीं एफोरिज्म्स को आप थोड़ा सा और एक बार पढ़ लेंगे। अगर ये वीडियो रिकॉर्ड हो रहा है तो आप फिर से पढ़ सकते हो, या आप अभी लिख के रख सकते हो। मैंने मेरे ख्याल से कल एक फाइल सेंड भी की है पूरे एफोरिज्म्स और फुटनोट की, जो हम लोग आज डिस्कस करने वाले हैं। तो यू कैन ऑलवेज मेडिटेट ऑन दोज थिंग्स कि डॉक्टर साहब ने बोला है स्किलफुली, सो लेट अस स्किल थोड़ा सा हमें होना चाहिए। चलिए फ्रेंड्स, थोड़ा देखते हैं ये कारण कौन से है। टू दिस बिलोंग्स पॉइजनिंग। अब ये कौन बताएगा आपको दैट वन हैज कमिटेड सर्टेन इन द पास्ट, वो बच गया है ना। सो डेफिनेटली ये एरियाज के ऊपर एक पेशेंट अपनी वॉल बना देगा, उस वॉल में अंदर किसी को आने नहीं देगा। पॉइजनिंग और अटेम्प्टेड सुसाइड, तो बचपन में कुछ हुआ होगा उसको या कोई प्रॉब्लम हुआ होगा, लेकिन एक अटेम्प्ट हुआ था लेकिन वो बच गया। अटेम्प्टेड सुसाइड। ओनेनिज्म, प्रॉब्लम्स रिलेटेड विद द सेक्सुअल लाइफ। इंडल्जेंस इन ऑर्डिनरी और अननेचुरल डिबॉचरी। नो वन सब बोलते हैं डॉक्टर साहब मैं बस थोड़ा ही लेता हूँ, मैं कभी ज़्यादा नहीं लेता हूँ। मुझे आज तक कोई पेशेंट मिला नहीं कि वो बोला कि हाँ डॉक्टर साहब मैं ज़्यादा लेता हूँ। सब बोलते हैं कि डॉक्टर साहब मैं बिल्कुल थोड़ा ही लेता हूँ और एकदम कंट्रोल रहता है। डिबाउचरी, excess in wine, nobody is going to say it. Overindulgence in eating generally, खाते ही जा रहे हैं। और इन सम पर्टिकुलर फूड ऑफ ए हर्टफुल कैरेक्टर, ये भी एक चीज़ है कि खुद के जो पेशेंट को भी पता रहता है कि ये चीज़ें गलत है, बट पेशेंट एडमिट नहीं करते हैं एंड मेनी टाइम्स दे हाइड अवर दिस थिंग्स फ्रॉम द केस टेकिंग। तो ये हो सकता है कि शायद ये चीज़ों का जो आंसर मिलेगा माय डियर फ्रेंड्स, शायद आपका करेक्ट ड्रग निकलेगा उसमें। शायद उसमें जो ड्रग आपका दिमाग में है वो स्ट्रेंथन भी हो सकता है, जो आपने निकाला है वो स्ट्रेंथन भी हो सकता है। ठीक है। ओवर इंटेलिजेंस इन ईटिंग जनरली और इन सम पर्टिकुलर फूड ऑफ ए हर्टफुल कैरेक्टर। Infection with venereal disease. Again, it's a big problem that nobody will tell it. Venereal disease or each unfortunate love. Love is not unfortunate. Love is a good thing, but unfortunate means doesn't succeed. Jealousy. Now, who is going to say that I am jealous? You have to conclude it. You have to skill. Jealousy. Domestic infelicity. मतलब छोटा भाई 12वीं में है, छोटा भाई बड़ा भाई 10वीं में है और छोटा 12वीं भी पास हो गया। सो दिस इज द प्रॉब्लम, नोबडी टेल्स। फैमिली मिसफॉर्चून, बॉक्ड रिवेंज, इंज्योर्ड प्राइड, ये आपको स्टेफिसाइग्रिया एंड ऑल दिस ड्रग बताएंगे नहीं कोई, लेकिन दिल में उसको रहता है कि मेरे साथ इनजस्टिस हुआ है, मेरे को जो चाहिए था लाइफ में नहीं मिला है। इस तरह की ये इंजर्ड प्राइड, या उसको सबके सामने अपमान हुआ है, बॉस था कुछ बोल नहीं सका लेकिन मेरे को बहुत हर्ट हुआ वो। तो इंजर्ड प्राइड, एम्बेरसमेंट ऑफ ए पेक्यूनरी मीन्स मॉनिटरी, खुद को ही शर्म लगती है कि भाई देखो वो उनके पास कार है, सब कुछ चीज़ें, उनके पास फ्लैट है, हम कैसे रह रहे हैं। तो पेशेंट कैन ऑल्सो हैव द एम्बेरसमेंट ऑफ पेक्यूनरी नेचर। सुपरस्टिशियस फियर, ये भी एक है, ऐसा करो तो ऐसा होगा, या उसने कुछ किया है इसलिए मुझे बीमारी हुई है। इस तरह के जो एक पेशेंट्स आते हैं आपके पास, तो ये बताते नहीं है लेकिन इनको एक रहता है कि मैं उस दिन खाने को गया था तो उसके बाद ही हुआ है। स्टिल मेरे पास भी काफ़ी पेशेंट्स हैं, पेशेंट बोलते हैं कि डॉक्टर साहब मुझे मालूम नहीं लेकिन मैं उस दिन गया था और बाद में मैंने इन्फॉर्मेशन निकाली कि उनके पास जो जो जाता है तो बीमारी होके आता है। ऑल दिस सुपरस्टिशियस पेशेंट, थोड़ा सा आप डिटेल में जाएंगे क्योंकि एलोपैथी में ये सब क्वेश्चंस के वो अकस्टम होते नहीं हैं, लेकिन आप थोड़ा पेशेंट को और पूछेंगे तो ये चीज़ें आएंगी। डेफिनेटली आपका प्रिस्क्रिप्शन सही होगा अगर आपको ये चीज़ें निकलना आ गई पेशेंट से। और एन इम्परफेक्शन इन द प्राइवेट पार्ट्स, ए रप्चर, ए प्रोलैप्स एंड सो फोर्थ। चलिए फ्रेंड्स आगे बढ़ते हैं। ये भी एक एफोरिज्म 109 का मैंने 92 लिया है। That there can be another true best method of curing dynamic diseases. ये जानबूझ के मैंने एक फुटनोट आपको बताने के लिए कि कितना हनीमन कॉन्फिडेंस था।
Dr. Prasad, there are many delegates who don't know Hindi, so international delegates. So please mix Hindi. Yeah, sorry to interrupt.
Okay. that there can be another true best method of curing dynamic diseases. This particular aphorism I have taken just to let you share that what kind of confidence doctors are having in homeopathy. Besides homeopathy, just as it is impossible to draw more than one straight line between two given points. Geometry has this. No two line can be drawn between two given points. Between two given points only one line can be drawn. If this is the thing, then there can no other line of treatment, not be any other system which can cure other than homeopathy. Dynamic means that there are other modes of curing diseases besides it, could not have appreciated homeopathy fundamentally. There is the problem, isn't it? We ask our fellow doctors that what you have, what medicine you give, say for epilepsy, what medicine you give for psoriasis, what medicine you give for this entity or that entity. See, this means you cannot accept fundamentally, because we have to treat the sick and not the parts. Definitely, the parts are also important for diagnostic condition, for a better management of the patient. But with this data, you cannot arrive at the homeopathic prescription. For that, you want in your cases more of a patient. Yes, then definitely all this data I'm giving you, which will enable you to have more symptoms of patient. He who imagines that there are other modes of curing diseases besides it could not have appreciated homeopathy fundamentally, nor practice it with sufficient care, nor could he ever have seen or read cases properly perform homeopathic cures. When he had not seen at all, so how we believe? We have to show this generation, the budding homeopath, the students of homeopathic medical OPDs, they should we have prescribed for this particular entity. After 7 days, 15 days, if the patient comes for the follow-up, not necessarily he will be okay. We have to find out the mistakes, what mistakes we have made. But also, if they are getting relief, so the new students of homeopathy will start believing, yes, homeopathy is there, which can relieve the patient's complaint. Or read cases of properly performed homeopathic cures, nor on the other hand could he have discerned the baselessness of allopathic modes of treating diseases. He don't know what is the good of homeopathy, nor he is acquainted with what's wrong with the other systems of medicine. That's why he's not getting the results, and their bad or even dreadful effects. If with this lacks of difference, he places the only healing art, homeopathy, on an equality with those hurtful methods of treatment, or alleges the latter to be auxiliaries to the homeopathy, which it could not do without. Now, these lines have made it in bold. It's for you and me. This is the message for you and me, my true conscientious followers, the pure homeopathists, with their successful, almost never failing treatment, might teach these people better. Your actions speak louder than the voice. I do this so many successful rate. It's okay. You can write any on the flexboard, but let your actions speak. That what kind of doctor you are, your actions speaks more louder than probably the words. Now let's move further. I have to make it a bit fast because 45 minutes already finished. Dr. Saab?
You please continue. Yeah.
Okay, Dr. Saab. Thank you. Now, friends, this particular section 119 I have taken with the footnote number 99. Now, this again I have taken with a purpose. As has been shown above, neither man nor mighty nature herself can effect a perfect, rapid, and permanent cure otherwise than with a homeopathic remedy. My dear, else you want. I think whenever you wake up, you should, after waking up, you should read this sentence, wake up. That, as has been shown above, neither man nor mighty nature, because based on nature's law, still mighty nature herself can effect a perfect, these words are very important, perfect, rapid and permanent. If you select one and the other get loose or escape, then it's of no use. You have to combine everything. It should be perfect. It should be rapid also. Now, rapid is a relative term. Rapid is a relative term. A patient ailing for 20 years, a 6 months is a rapid. A patient coming for 1 month, 2 days is a rapid. Okay? So it is a relative term. You cannot expect the things of 20 years elements to be treated with 1 and 2 days. Yes. So it's a relative word. You have to use it very cautiously, that what kind of ailment we are treating. Rapid and permanent cure otherwise than with a homeopathic remedy. Next, I know I'm just jumping from one footnote to another, but my dear friends, I just selected some of them. With this much limited hour, I have to fulfill and let you give a message that these are the footnotes and these are the footnotes and aphorisms. If you study them, yes, definitely you can bring a big change in our practice. Your outlook towards the case will be definitely changed. It will help you. So we have now section 148 and footnote number 108. This is, let us go for it. But this laborious, sometimes very laborious, who is saying, my dear friends? The founder of homeopathy in this particular footnote is saying what? This is laborious and sometimes very laborious search for the selection of the homeopathic remedy. Suitable, most suitable in every respect to each morbid state. Now, if this statement is coming from Dr. Hahnemann, so we have to know that yes, you have to make efforts to take out. The name of the homeopathic medicine is not going to come to your mouth directly. You have to work for it. You have to have some evaluation method for it. You can take the Boning method of evaluation, or you may take the Kent or Hahnemann, whatever. You have to have some preconceived system. You have to put these symptoms into certain systems, and you can be indicated with the medicine. So this is laborious, sometimes very laborious search for the selection of the homeopathic remedy most suitable in every respect, not on one aspect, on every respect, to each morbid state, is an operation notwithstanding all the admirable book for facilitating it, still demand the study of original sources themselves. We are living in a, we have certain systems, we have certain things, we have certain schools and everything. It's okay. Let us accept. But my point is there is no with the schools of thoughts. The problem is the study of the original sources themselves. My dear friends, please equip yourself with the original sources first. You are already with the edifice. Edifice means building. The building is ready, but sometimes the foundation is not so there can be a problem. And the original source books, it could be from Metra Medica. In case of Organon, you have the Organon itself, or repertory, you have so books of the construction of the Kent repertory for that matter, or Boger's synoptic key for that matter, or TBCR or TPB of Boning-Gusen. Whichever you take, you have to consult the original sources first. Original sources themselves, and at the same time a great amount of circumspection and serious deliberation, which have their best rewards in conscientious of having faithfully discharged our duty. If you have all this, then definitely you are discharging your duty faithfully. So this particular slide I have taken just to emphasize on the minds of all my dear friends that yes, whichever things you follow, no problem, but first give some time for the original text. Go to the roots, ROOT, go to the roots first, and then the branches can be there. Now this is something for, you can see there is some surgeon is there on this particular slide. So let's see what this slide is throwing light on. We are moving forward. We have arrived to 205, section 205, and this particular footnote is 118. What Hahnemann is saying? I cannot therefore advise, for instance, the local expectoration of the so-called cancer of the lips and face. The basic malady is thereby not diminished. You cut down the growths, but the disease seed still remains, not diminished in the slightest. The preserving vital force is therefore necessitated to transfer the field of operation of the great internal malady to some more important part. If you remove the effects, not removing the cause, isn't it? You can just, I will take down to the 11th aphorisms footnote. If some students are remembering, I just want to emphasize here that he has given the examples of cause and effect. The moon and the ebbs and tides, the magnet and a piece of a nail. So cause and effects. Okay, unless you remove the cause, if you only remove the effects, the cause is deliberated his efforts to other healthy organs. The vital force will divert the disease products onto some other healthy organs, but cannot cure. If you think you have cut the growth, that is not the cure. Not diminish the slightest. The preserving vital force is therefore necessitated to transfer the field of operation of the great internal malady to some more important part, as does it in every case of metastasis, and consequences is blindness, deafness, insanity, suffocative asthma, dropsy, apoplexy, and etc. These are not different diseases. This is only the consequences that you have removed the effects without removing the cause. So if cause is still persisting, it will give birth to the different effects. You may label it with nosologically diagnosable conditions as different diseases, but they are not different diseases. Their cause is one. And if the cause has not been antidoted, if the cause has not been treated with the dynamic medicines, then it will end like anything but can never cure. The result is the same. This might have been witnessed by our senior doctors, practitioners, clinicians, that what exactly happens when the patient moves from you. There is no cure. Ultimately, he settles with some of the disabilities at the end, but there is no cure. The result is the same. Without previous cure of the inner myxome, when cancer of the face and the breast is removed by a knife alone, and when encysted tumors are enculated, something worse follows, or at any rate, death is hastened. You are just inviting the trouble more closer to you. This has been the case times without number, but the old school still goes blindly on the same way in every new case with the same disastrous result. This is, let us not do, at least with homeopathic perspective. You know that what is the danger of removing the effects only. In this series also, in the local malady, Hahnemann in further aphorisms has said that you treat the cause first. Then later, if surgeon removes the effect, then there is nothing to be fear about. Okay, if you go and read the local maladies in Organon, you will find in furtherance, Hahnemann has stated that if the cause has taken care by the homeopathic medicine, there is no fear that there could be some problem with the future. Let's go further, friends. Now, this particular footnote I have taken, that this is for 206, and the footnote is 120. You can write down the numbers. It's already there in your texts of Organon. In investigation of the nature, we must not allow ourselves to deceive by the assertions of the patient or their friends, who frequently assign as the cause of chronic, even the severest, most inverted diseases, either a cold caught through wetting drinking cold water after being heated many years ago, or a former fright, a sprain, or vexation. There may be some patients, which comes and says that I think doctor so many years back this something has happened and uske baad hi start hua and all the evil have started after that. So there are patients who always go on complaining like this. These causes are so much too insufficient to develop a chronic disease in a healthy body. So just a piece of warning, my dear friends, they are not strong enough to have the seeds of the disease. To keep it up years and so aggravate it year by year, as in the case with all chronic diseases, from developed SORA, causes of a much more important character than those remembered noxious influences must lie at the root of the initiation and progress of a serious obstinate disease of long standing. These causes cannot bring forth such a dreadful chronic disease. You require something of a equal to SORA or something like that, so that you can have a so much long standing chronic diseases. So patient may come and deceive you. Okay. Now let's go further. This is most important slide that we come under the mental disease. If you read mental disease, the student must be knowing that 210 to 230, this series of aphorism Hahnemann has dedicated for mental disorders. So the first aphorism I have taken. Now all I have been taking is a footnote. This is, I think, the first time getting the aphorism. It goes like this, my dear friends. Of this character are what are termed mental diseases. They do not, however, constitute a class of disease sharply separated from others. Mental diseases are not different than what it is. Since, now this line is very important, would like to have an attention of all of you. Since in all other so-called corporeal diseases, physical diseases, the condition of the disposition and mind is always, it is typed in italic and bolded, always altered. My dear friends, I will read this sentence again. In all other so-called, not well-called, so-called physical diseases, the condition of the disposition and mind is always altered, and in all cases of diseases, we are called on to cure. The state of the patient's disposition is to be particularly noted. Please note it, how the patient has behaved during the case taking. What gestures did he make to let you understand the anomaly that he is suffering? What words exactly he used? What tone was there? What tone was there when he was describing? The tone is also important. We can always get some information. अरे क्या डॉक्टर साहब पीछे लग गया मेरे, this something takes you to the different level that yes, there must be something big thing is happening, must have been him. So-called corporeal diseases, the condition of the disposition and mind is always altered, and in all cases of diseases we are called on to cure. The state of the patient's disposition and mind is to be particularly noted, along with the totality of the symptoms. Yes, you are making the totality. These two things must be on the top, the disposition and the mind. Disposition is nothing but the natural inclination, the inclination of the patient. I will come down to it in the next footnote, which is you can see in the same slide. I have taken these two things on the same slide. Patient's disposition is to be particularly noted, along with the totality of the symptoms. If we would trace an accurate picture of the disease, in order to be able therefore to treat homeopathical cases, if you want to treat your cases with homeopathically, with the success, then you have to take care of these two words, the disposition and mind, because mind is with a more proximity to the vital force. You have at the inner, you have the vital force. The next ring, the next circle is the circle of the mind, and the outer circle is made up of the corporeal, that is the physical. So when you prescribe on the mind, you are more closer towards the anomaly. You are more closer to the vital force. You are more closer to the dynamic level. Okay. I am not saying this. This is what is 210th aphorism is reflecting. Let's go further, friends. Thus, aconite will seldom or never effect a rapid cure or permanent cure in a patient of a quiet, calm, equable disposition. Cannot think that how aconite could sit in such a calm position. The disposition is wrong. And just as little Naxomica be serviceable where the disposition is mild and phlegmatic, where Pulsatilla is happy, something is wrong. Pulsatilla cannot be gay or obstinate. Pulsatilla are may be obstinate in certain cases, but by and large they are submissive. They are not obstinate. They will accept. Or Ignitia, where it is imperturbable and disposed neither to be frightened nor vexed. So when you are going for Ignitia, yes, these two things will be there, that they are more prone for getting frightened or being vexed. Okay, very beautifully this Dr. Hahnemann has mentioned about this aphorism, and also this footnote is very speaks loudly. Let's go further. This something I have taken with the purpose of this homeopathic aggregation and all that. Let us see what this particular footnote. This is for section 246, and this is footnote number 132. What I said in the fifth edition of the Organon in a long note. My dear friends, the same aphorism and same footnote, if you open in the fifth edition, you will see 1.5 page long footnote. Because when I'm talking of fifth edition, I'm talking of centesimal scale. When I'm talking of sixth edition, all the references I have to make that I am prescribing, I am administering LM potency, that is 50 millisimal potency. So this makes sense that when you are reading the sixth edition, whatever data, whatever things written on the doses, let us not confuse that it is talked about centesimals. Problem is that we read the sixth edition and we practice in our clinics fifth edition, that we are prescribing 30, 200 and 1 mn centesimals. So when you are prescribing centesimals, this particular footnote you have to refer from the fifth edition, because whenever you are talking about sixth edition, that Hahnemann is talking about 50 millisimal. So the Hahnemann who was talking about giving one dose and asking you to wait and watch for a long time. I repeat, my dear friends, in fifth edition, the same master are asking you to give a dose and wait and watch till the action further continues. Same Dr. Hahnemann is asking in the sixth edition to repeat daily and for months. This is the big change. And my dear friend, if you read sixth edition and prescribe centesimals in the way of sixth edition prescription idea, God only can save. So just be sure that if you are going to prescribe the centesimals, confine yourself to the fifth edition. Yes, but there are so many physicians I have seen in so many new doctors are coming with using the 50 millisimals. I myself uses many times, quite oftenly, the sixth edition prescriber, that is LM potency. So make sure you cannot apply the philosophy of centesimals to the LM potency and vice versa. So make sure. That's why I've taken this footnote. What I said in the fifth edition of the Organon in a long note in this paragraph is, in order to prevent these undesirable reactions, homeopathic aggravation, undesirable reactions of the vital energy, was all the experience. Look, friends, there was a big transformation from fifth to sixth edition. as far as dosage is concerned. Hahnemann was very much satisfied that the law of cure is law of similia. Then he never went back. There was no confusion. He was so firm that any law exists in nature, that law is law of homeopathy. But the later fight he fought to one thing: how we should make our medicine strong enough to destroy the chronic disease and not strongest enough to give homeopathic unnecessary aggravations. How to make the medicine strong enough to destroy the disease and not so much strong that it will aggravate further and then cure it later on. So then there was a birth of LM potencies, that they are strong also, and at the same time they doesn't produce the initial aggravation, that is homeopathic aggravation. Okay? That's why deliberately I have taken this particular footnote. However, all these difficulties are wholly solved. This aggravation and feeling better, the classical third observation of Kent, I could just summarize that the aggravation is quick, short, and strong, followed by rapid improvement of the patient. There, Kent has said, because Kent has died in 1916, and the sixth edition was published in 1921. So you have to be again very cautious when you are reading the Kant's philosophy. You have to accept, yes, you are confining all the references to the fifth edition. But as you go again, the Herbert Robert or Stuart Close, they have written this book after the sixth edition was published. Okay? So just a piece of caution that when you are reading and the literature, you should know that when exactly it has been published. So in Kant's philosophy, there is no LM potency. Okay? Now see the difference. The same carefully selected medicine may now be given daily and for months if necessary. Now if you go with the centesimal scale, that daily and for months, God only can save your patient. But this has been written with reference to the LM potency. And you cannot cure a case with one dose of LM potency. You have to repeat it daily and for months with no aggravation. That is a contrast picture. In homeopathic centesimal aggravation, there is a homeopathic aggravation at the beginning. But homeopathic aggravation under the 50 millisimal potency, it comes at the terminal part of the treatment. When the case is already cured, then you have homeopathic aggravation. I will take this matter 50 millisimoles. If you have another session, I will categorically differentiate these two potencies. That in centesimal, you get the homeopathic aggravation at the beginning of the case, beginning of the treatment, and when you are using the LM potencies, you get the homeopathic aggravation at the when the case is already cured. Okay, let's go further. Now the next we have footnote 136. The well-informed and conscientiously careful physician will never be in a position to require an antidote in his practice. He will begin as he should to give the selected medicine in the smallest possible dose. A like minute dose, better chosen remedy will re-establish order throughout. This he must know, that I cannot cross the law of minimum. Okay, that is there. The potencies are different, but a conscientious doctor will always know that in no way I have to go with the subphysiological doses. For that reason, I have taken this slide. Now, next slide, friends, is 138. The signs of improvement in the disposition of mind. The signs of improvement in the disposition and mind. Again, disposition of mind is important for selection of medicine. Disposition and mind is also important to know whether your medicine was correct or wrong. So if you get improvement in the disposition and mind, however, may be expected only soon after the medicine has been taken. What else you want, my dear friends? When the dose has been sufficiently minute, that is as small as possible. Now this again I am talking and referring of 6th edition. And unnecessarily low doses even of the most suitable homeopathic medicine acts too violently. Just a word of caution that the similar medicines can have more problems than dissimilar medicines. So when you have selected a good medicine for the patient and you repeat it unnecessarily, it can take a good damage as compared to the dissimilar medicine. When the medicine is dissimilar, you know that what happened in nature when two dissimilar diseases meet. But when the medicine is similar, but you unnecessarily repeat, so you know what happens. And the first produces too great and too lasting and disturbance of the mind and the disposition. Now, this is just I've taken, it is already there in 284 aphorisms, footnote number 164, the new way of administration of homeopathic medicines. The power of medicines acting upon the infant through the milk of the mother. Very unique. You must have come across this. The power of medicines acting upon the infant through the milk of the mother is wonderfully helpful. So when the mother is lactating, whatever the indicated medicine you want to give to the child, you can administer to the. Yes.
Continue. Dr. Yavre Prasad, please continue.
Okay. Wonderfully helpful. Every disease in the child yields to the rightly chosen homeopathic medicines given in moderate doses to the nursing mother. What else you want, my dear friends? I will explore it further. Every disease in child yields to the rightly chosen homeopathic medicines given in moderate doses to the nursing mother, and so administer is more easily and certainly utilized by these new world citizens, that is the newborn children, than is possible in later years. If you prescribe it right now, they can digest, they can get cure easily. Than in later years, probably the disease conditions may complicate it afterwards. So it is better to give it at this point. They may be at the same time protected antisorically by means of the milk of the nurse or mother for that matter, rendered medicinally in this manner. So we have a new vehicle. You can call it as a vehicle. No, the vehicle is the one who transports the medicine safely into the patient. Yes, we are using the nursing mother's milk as a vehicle. This can also true with the anti-syphilitic and anti-soric also. If you see some traits in mother, you can always do this sort of things in other two remaining miasms also. Hahnemann has talked about anti-sorics, but yes, even at my clinic also I have seen this equally applicable for the anti-syphilitic as well as anti-soric. Let's go ahead, friends. But the case of mothers in their first pregnancy. Now, this about first paragraph, he's talked about the children, even infants for that matter. But now he's talking about the mothers. By the case of mothers in their first pregnancy, by means of the mild antisoric treatment. If you give this mild antisoric treatment, it will be very beneficial for the mother herself and the posterity also. Posterity means the new generation, especially with the sulfur. I want to talk here. Hahnemann, very few instances you will find that using the name of medicines. My dear friends, I take back to the history. Hahnemann has discussed only 2 cases from his entire what I can say, in the whole case taking, whatever data he was having thousands of cases with the treatment. But in lesser writing, you will find Hahnemann's lesser writing, you will find there are only 2 cases which he has described, because he was knowing that my followers will take only those medicines which I have used in that condition. That is not homeopathy. No, but now he has used the word sulfur dynamizations prepared according to the direction of this edition. Sulfur prepared as per the direction of this edition, 6th edition, 50 millisiemal potency. I hope I'm clear. Is indispensable in order to destroy the SORA. In order to destroy the SORA, the producer of most chronic diseases, which is given them hereditarily. The child is about to born with lot of weight on his shoulders, my dear friend. If you prescribe these things, his weight will be lessened. He can be less susceptible to the diseases, isn't it? You are just taking his weight out by prescribing this correct medicine at right time when the child is still in the womb. Most chronic diseases which is given them hereditarily destroy it both within themselves and in the fetus. Now there is no infant, he is talking about fetus, thereby protecting posterity. Posterity means future generation in advance. What, there could be a great work apart from this. Hats off to Hahnemann. This is true of pregnant woman thus treated. This is not only plainly writing. Hahnemann has taken the use of it. They have given birth to children usually more healthy and stronger, to the astonishment of everybody. What else you want? They have given birth to the children which are more healthier and stronger. Now 285, footnote 165. A true homeopathic physician, one who never acts without correct fundamental principles, never gambles with the life of sick entrusted to him as a lottery. Yeah, this cannot be acceptable that you have a success rate like a lottery, that you prescribe and accidentally the patient cures. No, we are scientific prescribers. We can get these results undoubtedly if whatever from the last 1.5 hours I was talking, and I'm not saying these are the only aphorism. This is my perspective. I could be wrong, but from last 25 years I am into academics, so I thought this could help my fellow doctors to just get themselves into the reading of this organon. So let us not do this lottery business where the winner is the ratio of 1:500 or 1:1000. No, let us not do that. We'll never expose any one of his patient to such danger and send him for a good luck to a mineral bath, as is done so frequently by allopaths. Now we don't have mineral baths today, but we have certain procedures. Patient goes and takes the procedures. Okay, we have to see this aphorism in today's light, that is contemporary. If you look in the same context with the 250 or 300 years back, you may miss everything. You have to see these aphorisms. You have to understand the meaning of the passion. Maybe 100 years back, the meaning of the passion is different, but in today's contemporary scenario, the meaning of the word passion you have to understand by looking around you, and seeing what is happening in the society, what is happening nowadays. Okay, so if you take these aphorisms with the contemporary view, then you are successful. Let us not see organon as a kind of, a small book is there, or very holy book, or very pious book. So it is so pious that sometimes we even don't touch. Let us not do that. The organon is there as a guide. Organ is there as a compass. It's always there, and once the compass is not there, you can scatter anywhere in the sea, in the ocean. So finally, my dear friends, to conclude, I remember two statements I am giving. This is bonus. I know I have to confine myself to the Hahnemann, but yes, my love for Kent always brings me back to him. Finally, to conclude, I remember two statements of Kent, which goes like this. Now, this particular I have taken from the last lecture of Kant. First paragraph, first line from the last lecture, lecture number 37. While homeopathy itself is a perfect science, its truth is only partially known. See how Kant describes homeopathy, how he looks at homeopathy, the master of Mathematics, the master of repertory, the master of philosophy, in the last lecture, difficult and incurable cases. This is what he thinks after so many knowledges, after so many entire zealous effort. This is what Kant is writing about homeopathy. What he says, while homeopathy itself is a perfect science, its truth is only partially known. Yes, definitely. Now it's upon us how you takes it. The remaining truth has to be explored. The truth itself relates to the divine. What a word. Hats off to him. Because truth is not in our hand. The truth itself relates to the divine. Knowledge relates to man. We are here for the knowledge, and we can only access to the knowledge. We cannot go to the truth, isn't it? The truth is infallible. It cannot be minimized, it cannot be maximized. The moment is minimizes, maximizes, it doesn't remain as a truth. It is infallible. But the knowledge we can acquire. Okay? While homeopathy itself is a perfect science, its truth is only partially known. The truth itself relates to the man, the knowledge relates to man. The truth itself relates to the divine, the knowledge relates to man. It will require a long time before physicians become genuine masters in this truth. Okay, now I think the time has ripened that we should also take and make this science perfect. Now, the second gems from excuse me, from Kent. Now, this I have taken from the homeopathic aggravation. Very long and very lengthy lecture is there. That is homeopathic aggravation, lecture number 34. This is very truth that I have come across, because if I just want to give you 2 minutes about Kent. If anybody knows the Emil Sojenberg, Kent was the follower of Emil Sojenberg. If you look into the internet, you will find so many pages regarding Emil Sojenberg. Emil Sojenberg was the founder of New Church in America, and Kent was a strict follower of Emil Sojenberg. So today's Kant's philosophy has a great impact of Emil Sojenberg. So whatever, if you read the Kant's philosophy, it has some bearing of Emil Sojenberg also. Let's go to this particular statement. Unless man has truth in his mind, his experiences are false. Very true, my dear friends. Anything, anywhere you can apply this, not in the field of homeopathy, but everywhere you are working. Unless man has a truth in his mind, his experiences are false. Truth in the mind is first, and then experiences are good. If his mind is in a state of truth, experiences are true. So be the part of truth, no false. You cannot trust the experiences of man who do not know what is true. Don't believe them. Neither can they be led into truth by these fallacious experiences. They cannot be led into truth by these false things. So the truth in the mind is first. This is also very important. The physician heals. This is from Aristotle. And nature makes well. Limitation that we physician can heal, but the nature makes well. So thank you, dear friends. Here for the session, and I hand over to Dr. Mutender Singh for the session.
Thank you, Dr. Prasad. There was a great moments in your lecture when you touched such a divine concepts from Organon, and it is always a kind of retrospection until our to the genes of a homeopath when someone talks of Organon of medicine. Although there is never a big gathering for listening to the Organon of medicine, but still I appreciate all those who have attended today's lecture, and Dr. Prasad Vihavre has really dug out some gems from Organon and from our literature. You really deserve a lot of thank you from all of us, from heart of us. And definitely, I'll not take much time. Now it's time for our senior Dr. B.S. Chandok sir. He will throw more light on the subjects you have touched and Organon as a whole, and then I'll be appearing again for you on the screen. So, Dr. Chandok, please can you start your video and audio you have already started? Please come to the screen. So, I'll make you the presenter for some time, right? So, please take over.
And am I visible?
You're not visible, you're audible.
Give me a second. It's buffering. The camera is buffering.
Right now, you start talking. We'll see you in between. You please take over the mic.
Good evening, my dear friends, homeopaths. It's a proud moment that I have been given an opportunity to be part of this webinar capacity as the chairman. Vihare, a dear colleague, a dear friend, with, as he has told, 25 years of his professional experience as a homeopathic teacher, has very beautifully explained, explicitly explained one part, the important part of Organon. As we all know, that Hahnemann put Organon into two parts. The theoretical part, which is given in aphorism 1 to 70, and the practical part, which is explained in aphorism 71 to 291. So Dr. Vihare today practically took care of the practical part. He has started from aphorism 76 and gone up to aphorism 165 basically, and then he has explained 293 also. See, as Dr. Vihare said in the beginning, that the objective was of his today's lecture to study the aphorisms which are clinically indispensable. The instructions of our master, how to make every case a complete case, and how to resolve the practical obstacles while treating a case homeopathically. So, as we all know, any kind of project, whether it is a research project or it's setting up of an industry, even construction of a new house. First of all, what is the objective? That is drafted. Objective is drafted, blueprint is made, detailed plan of erection is discussed, and then practical approach is taken. In homeopathy, like I am a clinician with almost now 36 years of practical experience. So Dr. Vihare gave the theoretically, explained the practical part. And me as a clinician would in few words discuss with you what is important while treating a case, as a homeopath, homeopathically, keeping yourself within the framework, principles, rigid rules of our master given in aphorisms discussed by Dr. Vihare. So most important here comes the case taking. Case taking, as we usually say, this it is an art of case taking. Because the purpose, the objective of case taking is to extract, like Dr. Vihare was telling us in aphorism, I think it was aphorism 70. This was aphorism he discussed 93, footnote 86. That there are many symptoms, the cause of the disease, which is so important for a homeopath to find out. What caused this position, this change of symptoms, the lowering of vitality, the disturbance in vital force in human being, the sick man. What caused that? So, the art of case taking becomes extremely important in homeopathy. As Dr. Vihare was mentioning, that all the physical symptoms he will tell you. You can see, you can discuss very easily. You have to explore what is inside the patient. What has been the cause of dynamic changes in the patient? Dynamic are caused because of the disturbances in the state of mind of the patient. The unconscious mind goes right from infancy till a child becomes, he remembers his past. So the unconscious mind has so many things, but it remains the subconscious mind, which is, I would say, like a traffic. You are going on a road, highway, you have vehicles of different kinds coming from left, from right, from front, from back, bypassing you. So these cause you a lot of disturbance. You have to be very careful. This is like the subconscious. Every now and then, something of the past, something happening around, something of your disliking is disturbing you. And the most important, the present predominant state of mind, it affects you every now and then. Now, there are many things which the patient will talk out to you comfortably. But then there's a lot which the patient feels disgraced to discuss with you. Where his character is involved. We all have, like a coin has two sides. We all have the other side of ourselves. Each one of us goes through the good, bad, and the ugly state of mind, ugly part of our life. The ugly for us may be the best for us, but what affects us, what harms us, what has harmed us, that matters. Debauchery, any sexually transmitted disease if somebody has, disappointment in love, disgraced love. It could be from parents, it could be from your siblings, it could be patient's girlfriend or wife. This is very important. Jealousy, as Dr. Vihare was saying, that who will say, I'm jealous. No, I do tell you that I am very jealous. I just cannot take that somebody is praising my sibling, somebody else. These kinds of symptoms, the domestic discords, anything which has been somebody has been misfortune, and not we cannot miss the mortification, humiliation, injustice, in loss of position, loss of power, loss so much important. Unless we are able to do this, our case taking, our tools are incomplete. So for this, this theory little more, that here the Katha really first create a bridge between us and you. So similarly, we need to get siphon from the patient. Once that siphon is ready, friends, our greatest tool comes into our hand. This is called the catharsis. If we, Kahneman has very beautifully explained it, how to use these tools. Not discussing the aphorisms or footnotes. I'll come to the practical clinical part, being a clinician. So then once we have these with us, we have to go in for a deep circumspection, introspection, circumspection, and calibration of these collection of the tools, the so-called, what we call symptoms of the patient. We are complete in collecting our tools. It is like constructing a beautiful house. Okay, we see certain programs, competitions on the TV, where there's certain competitions among the ladies or cooks for making any food item is organized. So what they do, they give you the necessary condiments, necessary tools to cook, utensils to cook, and they give you a target, objective. There's the objective that you have to make this. And now once we have the tools, how well we cook that cake, that depends upon the knowledge, proper complete knowledge of organon, the being within the rules of organon. A physician, a homeopathic physician will always, hello Dr. Saab, am I audible? Hello?
Yes, you are well audible. You are well audible, but your video is not working. But please continue.
Yes,
You are
I don't know
at a very
my
good
video
flow.
why it's not coming.
You are talking with a very good flow. Please don't interrupt. Carry on.
Okay. Coming back to my point, so once we are able to, you see, select the simillimum, the whole objective, cake, I would use this term, we have cooked the cake, and the better there is no reason that we are unable to deliver to the ailing if we have used the tools properly. We have to complete the case clinically. So this is the only way of success for a homeopath. And I think with today's lecture, what Dr. Vyare has said, this is the message he wanted to give. Everybody must have understood very well. And I'm sure in the coming webinars, Dr. Muktinder Singh would look into either Dr. Vyare or somebody else, another organ and man who can further throw some light on how we can be better extractors, how can we improve in catharsis. This, I once again appreciate what Dr. Vyare has explained in his today's lecture, and I'm sure everybody must have enjoyed it, must have gained out of it. This I thank Dr. M.A. Rao, our National President, Dr. Muktinder Singh, the Chairman, webinar, Dr. Tanveer, and others for listening to me patiently, giving me an opportunity. Thank you very much. I wish
Sorry, Dr. Chandok, you are not audible. Maybe, hello? Hello? Dr. Chandok? Hello?
am I
Thank
not
you.
audible?
Yes, yes, you please speak. You please conclude.
Yeah, so I am to thank, I don't know from where I am, which point I am not audible. Anyway, I'll repeat the last lines that I am greatly thankful to the Institute of Homeopathic Physicians, our National President, Dr. M.A. Rao, sir, our very honorable President of Honor, Dr. V.K. Gupta ji, Dr. Muktinder. And I wish I could be visible to all of you too. But anyway, goodbye to all of you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Chandok sir, for your comments on the lecture and enlightening us all on the subject of the organ and sharing your experiences. I once again thank you from the core of heart. And few announcements before I hand over the mic to Dr. Tanveer Hussain, who is a mission director. So, number one, the recording would be uploaded on the YouTube as always. If you have any questions from Dr. Prasad or Dr. Chandok sir, you can type them in right now in the chat. So they are still with us, so we can ask them the questions. And third thing is that we'll be continuing this IHP webinars on the Cisco WebEx app from now onward. And there's a great announcement that our next lecture or our 26th July, Dr. Kulkarni has agreed to give us a special session on question and answers, because last time when we listened to it, we could not arrange a question answer session because his session on acute handling of COVID cases was such an extensive session that we could not get the time. But next time we'll be extending the time from 4. We'll be starting the meeting at 4 and would be continuing till 6:30 or 7. And he has agreed to answer the questions, but those who want to ask the questions from Dr. Ajit Kulkarni sir, they can send the questions on my number 9815127201 or Dr. Tanveer number. I am not remembering talk his number, and we'll forward those questions. But the deadline for sending the question is on Thursday. Thursday, 12 midnight, the question which are asked. So please don't ask the question relating to your personal diseases or what. You ask questions about COVID, you ask question about materia medica, about organ and about body language, whatever Dr. Ajit Kulkarni, those who are aware, they'll be definitely knowing his writings and his teachings. So this is a great opportunity as to clarify our queries. So all please be ready with your question answers on the next week and send your questions by Thursday midnight. Now, I thank Dr. M. A. Rao sir, Dr. V.K. Gupta sir for giving us this beautiful platform. And I have seen Dr. Siva Murthy, Dr. Prabhakar Rao, Dr. So many seniors from different states are regularly attending the sessions. So I thank them all for attending those sessions and appreciating us for this this initiative. Now I'd like call Dr. Tanveer Hussain to just take over the mic and conclude the day. Dr. Tanveer Hussain.
Now,
Dr. Tanveer Hussain, are you there?
Thank you. Yes, sir. Thank you, Dr. Muktinder Singh ji. Am I audible, Dr. Muktinder ji?
Yes, you are audible.
Thank you very much. First of all, thank you, Dr. Muktinder Singh, for hosting this beautiful webinar of today. And the wonderful speaker, Dr. Prasad Vyavhare, who has taken a long journey from aphorism number 12 to the last 284, 85. It was all a very wonderful journey with Dr. Prasad Vyavhare. I salute the people who really give so much attention to this organon of medicine, which is the instrument to know to understand the medicine, the organon. He has very wonderfully selected the aphorisms along with their footnotes, and the touching line which I am going to share with you is he was talking of that we are reading 6th edition of Organon and still we are practicing our pathy according to 5th edition of Organon. It is very important to convey this message because in fact this is my passion also, to convey this message of Dr. Samuel Hahnemann regarding the usage of 50 millisievert potencies. We should not take it lightly, friends, because these 50 millisievert potencies are the lifetime's hard work of Dr. Samuel Hahnemann, because at the very old age, at the last age, I should say, he concluded that whatever I have said in the long footnote to this paragraph, it was my experience of that time which I have shared with you. Now I have come up with my most perfected method whereby we can minimize the undue aggravations of the patient's complaints. So it was very important message which we wanted to share with you. Thank you very much, Dr. Prasad Vyavhare. You have very rightly, you have done justified with this aphorism 246 footnote 132. Whereby we can use LM potencies according to the need of the patient, even daily or on alternate days in chronic cases or more frequently with acute cases also. The other thing which he was talking of regarding the use of the name of sulfur medicine to prescribe to the pregnant mothers is very, very touching line for all of us. Dr. Hahnemann also has never revealed his prescriptions to his disciples, to his patients or his friends also. When I was listening from my Punjabi senior doctors that here our late respected Dr. Dr. Castro sir, whenever he used to prescribe his medicines, he used to conceal, he used to hide the prescription from the students. So many of the students were very, surprised why he is hiding from us, though he is our teacher. But I know that it was all just because to avoid our prejudice. So Dr. Hahnemann was also not revealing his prescriptions to anybody so that we should not copy him. So these two things are very, very touching to all of us. Otherwise, the selection of the footnotes of Dr. Prasad Vivare were very, very appreciating. And we will look forward for his more lectures in the future according to the time availability. Now, at the end of this, I would like to thank, and moreover, now Dr. Chandok sir, respected Dr. Chandok sir, he has concluded most of the things from Dr. Vivare's lecture from altogether from his whole lectures very nicely. Very important points he has taken into consideration and shared with all of us. Now I thank respected Dr. V.K. Gupta sir, the President of Honor of IEHP, respected Dr. Rao sir, who always guide us for everything in IHP, whatever activities we are doing here. Along with that, I have seen many important faces or names here: Dr. Srinivas Lu, Dr. Vinod Suri Sahab, Dr. Rajesh Sofat, President of Punjab IHP branch, Dr. N.S. Rao sir from Hyderabad, Dr. Kaumudi, Dr. Shiva Murthy, Dr. Bhinder Singh ji, Dr. Vanita Sahani, and our other overseas friends also, Dr. Nishant Thape, Dr. Ajay Dahad, and all our CEC members of IHP. I thank one and all for attending this webinar, and you people all are our energy, our spinal cord. So thank you very much for your kind presence. And finally, I thank Dr. Muktinder Singh for hosting this wonderful webinar. And in the coming week, on 26th of July, as Dr. Muktinder has rightly told you, that Dr. Ajit Kulkarni sir, who is who is an international homeopath, international speaker, he has very kindly given his consent to present his second webinar, and it would be very wonderful. I am sure about this because it would be only regarding the questions and answer session. Whatever questions you are having in your mind from your clinical problems, clinical practice, you please post it to Dr. Muktinder Singh's number. He has given his number, and you can even WhatsApp to my number. Kindly note down if you can. My number is 9814406786. I will write it on the chat box also. You can post your questions before midnight of 20 July, Thursday night, so that we have to send those questions to Dr. Ajit Kulkarni for the better answers and for better presentations. Thank you one and all. Dr. Rajinder Vai sir, I was missing your name. He is also present here. The old young man, Dr. Rajinder Vai, thank you very much sir for being present here. I again thank one and all for your wonderful presence. Thank you very much, Dr. Muktinder and all CC members. Thank you, sir.
Thank you all. Call it a day, and recording would be uploaded soon, and new flyer will be released within few days. So keep in touch. Thank you all.
I have given my number in the chat box. You can please note it down from there.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everybody.